Hi guys, it's Amanda. Welcome to the vlog, the first sewing vlog I've done for quite a while. What I'm going to do today is to show you how you can alter curtains. I'm just going to show you how to do the length first of all today. And these are from already made. Mum made these curtains many years ago. And as you're aware, she's no longer with me, so I couldn't bear to part with these. So with us moving to the van, I brought the curtains with me. These are them. They're absolutely beautiful. They're lined, but they're just way too long for the caravan windows. So what I'm going to ignore my stuff on the back here. I'm in the middle of cooking dinner and all sorts of things going off here. So these are the curtains. If I can open them so you can see. And I love them. They always look nice and clean and fresh. They never seem to fade or lose the colour or anything, and I really do love them. So what I'm going to do, she lined them. So first of all, take a tip. If the curtain's lined and the lining's okay and everything, then what I would suggest is, let me move one out of the way. I've washed and ironed them, because if you're doing curtains and things, the best thing to do is to wash and iron them, because they've been folded up in your cupboard or your store or wherever you keep them, then it can alter the lay of the curtain. So first of all, if you you see, Mum always did, I'll show you, put the lining next to where she turned in the edge of the curtain. So I would go all the way down first of all and pin across, pin the lining in place is what I'm trying to say, so that your lining and your curtain still stays the same length. Now you don't need to go, because I'm going to alter these from the top, because you can do from the top or the bottom. Now because the hem is done and it's neat and it's all hand sewn, if you can see here, Mum had hand sewn it all along here. What I'm going to do is leave the hem and take off the top. Okay, so I'm just going to, what I would say is, normally if you're leaving the header tape on, then pin all the way down and then cut off the length at the bottom. But I'm going to change this to this 3-inch header tape for 1-inch header tape. Because the caravan's got fixed pelmets, I don't need a 3-inch header tape to keep the pleats in place. This 1-inch does the job effectively. So I'm going to take off the 3-inch header tape and sew across the top to close the gap, and then I'm going to add the 1-inch header tape. Okay, so what all you need to do is you need sharp fabric scissors, pins and a pin cushion, put that on my wrist, and a hem gauge, which is this, or it's called a hem gauge, but anything that you've got, like ruler, tape measure, whatever, that to help you not measure the curtain, but when you fold in the seam in at the top, that'll help you measure. You could do it with a ruler. So first of all, lay out, I'll just tilt you down a bit so that you can see what I'm doing. Right, so firstly, lay out your curtain. Now we're working from the top, if you remember, so just pin your lining in place along the, like I've said, down the side here, just to keep it, just for so far down, just to keep it in the right place, so that when you cut the header tape off, your lining doesn't separate. And then I need these curtains to be 48 inches, so that's what I need it to measure for my bedroom. Well, let's measure them first of all. They are, let's see, I think they're about 72, these, because they were for an old house that she lived in. Big old Edwardian house, so they have really long windows, so that's 60. Where are we? Oh, 74. So firstly I'm going to cut the top off, and then we can see where we're measuring then, because we need to measure them from the bottom. So just get it nice and straight, so snip through the cord this cord here. Oh, wait a second, let me show you. I've lost the end. You snip through this cord on the header tape and that'll loosen all the pleats. If you want to take the header tape off and reuse it for a different project or for anything else, then by all means leave it on, but this was knotted. It's been knotted so long and washed that I couldn't undo it. So I'm just going to cut along the top. I'm hoping, hang on, that you can see me. Here we go. I'm going to cut along the top, lay it nice and flat, cut along the top following the line of the header tape, and that'll keep it nice and straight. And then as I get so far, I'm going to put some pins across so it'll keep my lining and my curtain fabric together. It's going to be a bit wibbly wobbly with it having the tape on, but that's fine because I'm going to straighten it. Right, so that keeps that in place. So all you've done basically is cut the top off and pinned that one. So we're going to do exactly the same with the other one. Just pop that to one side a minute. Get rid of that. Chuck that over there. Right, so do the same with this one. So firstly, you can snip your cords in the tape and pull it out fast. Pull it out flat, I mean, not fast. Right, and then pin your lining down so it doesn't separate. And that keeps your length right on both. Wait a second, make sure you get it flat. That's it. Couple of pins down the lining edge. As I say, if I was altering these from the bottom, I would pin the lining all the way down before I cut anything off the length, so it kept your lining and your curtain at the same length. Right, so I've snipped the cord, so what I'm going to do now, cut across again, like so. I don't know if all of you that watching this have seen my previous sewing videos. My channel started as a sewing channel, teaching you how to sew the easy way. So if you're interested in sewing and wanting to learn to sew, have a look back at my original early videos, and you'll see they're all about how to look at patterns and things like that, and how to know what bit of fabric is what and what bits of the fabric are called and what have you. And I'm going to be doing more videos. Now the reason I stopped was because I didn't have my sewing machine at home with lockdown. It was at the caravan, so I couldn't do any sewing because it was here and I was at home. But anyhow, we're here now. So, right, so what I'm going to do now, because I want it to be 48, I'm going to measure up from the bottom because I'm shortening from the bottom, which means I'm taking off the top. Okay, so I'm going to lay this out. That's just pricked me. Lay this flat. Let me just give it a shake first. And then what I'm going to do is pin, firstly, right at the bottom, pin the lining to the fabric. So I'm keeping this as is. So I'm just pinning the lining to the fabric at each side. Okay, and then you want it nice and flat on your, woo, sorry, not the camera, or the phone, nice and flat on your table or your floor or however you're cutting, like so. Get rid of this. All I tend to do when I'm measuring and dealing with a lot of fabric is I roll the top and move it up. Okay, so you need to get to one edge and measure upwards from the bottom. Now what you need to bear in mind is what you want in your finished edge, your finished length to be 48 inches. So you need to give yourself a seam allowance to turn in the top where you've cut off the fabrics. You need to hem that obviously, or sew it across the top. So I would say if you give yourself 2 inches at the top, and then that gives you enough fabric to turn over. In fact, no, an inch will be all right. An inch will be all right, and we're using 1 inch header tape as well. So an inch and a half, I think, because I think I'll put the header tape half an inch down from the top. So an inch and a half. So we need, instead of it being 48, which is our finished length of the curtain, if we do it 49 and a half, then it gives me half an inch to tuck in, and then we'll get the header tape, fold over for the header tape as well. So let's see, so we're doing it on measuring the curtain, not the lining. So we need 49 and a half. That's the aeroplane, so just bear with me if it makes it noisy. Keep your tape flat, keep your fabric flat, and then measure up. Let me think now. 48, so 48 is the length, and then if I fold over, now I'll do it for 49, change my mind, and that gives me an inch at the top. So 48, 49. Just put my scissors there and my pin, and I haven't brought my ruler in, so I need to get my ruler. Just bear with me a minute. I'll measure up again, 49. Just bear with me. From the bottom, from the curtain bottom, 40. Oi, curtain bottom. Upwards. Keep your fabric flat. 48, 49. Pop a pin. Now the pin is going exactly where I need to cut on the line, and then what I'm going to do is measure one more and pin one more. Make sure your fabric's flat, and we're measuring the flat fabric, not the lining, because the lining's staying in place as it is. So we need to make sure the fabric's flat. I'll measure right from the bottom. 49, so that's 31. Over down a little bit. 47, 48, 49, which is here. And then I'll go get my big ruler and draw a line. So bear with me 1 second. Hi, I'm back. Okay, right. I've got my big ruler and I've got my first pin mark there. So I'm going to pop that level with that, and that one level with that, and then I have got a removable water erasable fabric pencil. I'm just going to draw straight across where my pin is, like so. I'm going to put my pin back in just above, like so. What this means, it'll draw, and then drawing a straight line. As I come near the end of the middle, I'm going to move this over. Now if you look there, that doesn't look right, does it? That's my line there, but this looks to be an inch out. So let me just re-measure this bit. When I find my tape measure, I've usually got it hung around my neck. 1 second. And if you can hear the dogs snoring. No, it's not there, it's fallen on the floor. I don't know how, because I've usually got it on my neck. Right, here we go anyway. Right. Let me measure this bit again. So let me slide this fabric back up and measure. So that's 41. Let's see. 41, 49. So have I got the middle wrong then somewhere? Let's see, the line here. Have we got that wrong? Let's see. We'll soon see. This one measures, where are we? 49 as well. So that's a bit strange. That doesn't look straight to me. Wait a second. Let's try again. And that's 49. How odd. But anyhow, right. So let's see whether that's up there. Well, that's our measure. So it must be right. We've measured it again. So let's do it up to there anyhow. Put that onto there. Right. And straight across. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is cut this straight across our line, and then get rid of the excess. Right. Where am I? Here we are. That pin. I'm going to put a pin in here and a pin here and a pin here, again to keep them together, and straight across again. So, pin, 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 pin. Oh, there we go, look, you can see. Sorry, I keep forgetting that you can't see when it's, sometimes when it's a little bit further down. Right, so that means this piece of fabric is spare. So we can save this piece. This is the bit we've cut off, and we can do cushions, or we can make some tie backs with it, or we can do use it for a variety of different things, both the lining piece and the curtain piece. So that's that piece. Okay, now we've got our fabric cut to the right length. So what I wish to do now is just give it a shake. Make sure everything's dropped down properly. Yep, that's all okay. Take the pins out of the bottom of the lining piece because we've got the bit together now, so we don't need those in. Okay, so all we've got now is pins across the top. We've just got a couple along the top holding the lining and the fabric together. Okay, so now I'm just going to fold the fabric in half like so, and I am going to just double check the measurement. So there we go, that's a little bit easier now. I don't have to, oh, I keep knocking you down, I'm really sorry. Right, let's see where we are with it. Fingers crossed. Right, let's see. Measure, measure. Yeah, 49 to the bottom of the fabric, 48 to the bottom of the lining. Okay, so what we need to do now is, whilst we've still got these together, these bits together, we need to turn in our inch hem on both parts. So if you make sure, this is where your other guide comes in. If you put it on the inch line, like so, and then measure, I'll show you from this side, measure down 1 inch, and that is where, let me just pop a mark there, that is where you need to toe, you see the mark there, we need to fold the lining and the curtain fabric to the inside. So let me just turn that in like so, you see, and then that one down as well. So that is 1 inch turned in, put a pin in there like that, and then we need to carry that across all the way. So let's turn it in 1 inch, let's measure that it's 1 inch. There we go, wait a second, let's see. So put your line on the edge of your fabric, if you can see there, and it's turned down, so this line is on the edge and then it's turned down here 1 inch, that's correct. And then I want to do the same with the lining and fasten them together at the top with a pin so they stay together. Just make sure you get it straight like so, and then do that all the way across. So I shall pause the video and come back to you when I've done that. Right, I'm going to see if I can show you a little bit easier with a tape measure and on the lining, in case any of you haven't got one of the hemline things. So on the lining part, it'd be easy to see because it's white. So this is the wrong side of the lining. So I'm put a tape measure on here, on the edge of the, where we've cut this edge, folded over from this edge to the inside, so that's 1 inch, and then pop a pin, and then move it over a little bit, fold it over to 1 inch, and pop a pin, and then keep going. You'll find that as you go along it'll probably fall in at about 1 inch, especially cotton, because it likes to kind of make itself straight as you're going along, if that makes sense. So you'll see as you're moving along, let's see, look better, how it works. So we've got 1 inch fold inside, there we go, 1 inch, which is there, and then I've got, let's get 1 inch on this edge here, 1 inch on the edge like so, and then so that's 1 inch on this corner, get it into where it's straight, to measure that, I think that's about 1 inch, yep, and then this bit's just under, so I'll move that a little tiny bit so that I'm straight in, that's 1 inch, and that's 1 inch on the corner. Right, so then what you need to do, so we've got 1 inch folded over on the fabric to the inside, which is the wrong side of the fabric, and 1 inch folded over to the inside, which is the wrong side of the lining fabric. So now what we need to do is to pin them together along the top. So you can take out, if you hold it together, the lining and the fabric at the top, take out a pin from the inside and pop it on through both fabric, the fabric and the lining. So hold it together, pop the pin through so it holds it together there. So meet up your fabric and your lining here, pin through from the other side, and then pin through from the other side, and do that all the way along, like so. Make sure that your edges are together. So we'll pin through from the inside, pin through, pin through. That's my doggy crying. The little fussbot, that's Barney Boo. Let me just a sec, baby. Let me just put these together. That's a pin. Oh, we pinned all the way across the top, and we're going to do this in one hit, because what I'm going to do is show you then putting the header tape on as well and sewing it all at the same time. So it saves you a lot of time. It's a little trick. Just get another pin, roll that down a smidge, like so. Take that pin off there, pin, take that one out. You might have a few to remove because we've pinned both sides of the fabric. Right, let me just check where that lies at this edge. It's a bit, I want to move it over a little bit. So with this, at this side, I want the lining to match the edge of the seam on the fabric, the side seam, should I say. So just let me move that a little bit, because I've got it a bit too far over. Just bear with me a minute while I just adjust my pins. And I'm going to turn that in there and mitre that corner in, which I'll explain that to you in a second. Right, you see how it's made a loop, a bubble here. So it's still an inch, but I just need to move the lining fabric across a little bit on the other fabric, the curtain fabric. So let me just take that pin out from inside. It's just that when I've pinned it from this end, I've pinned it right to the edge, so this needs moving over so that it gets pinned from this side seam edge here. You'll see as when we get to the end what I mean, of what I've done. So I'll keep going over. Over, like so. Shuffle over, like so. And shuffle this one over like so. You see this little lump is moving its way this way? Well, that's just a bit of the excess fabric, curtain fabric, not lining, that I should have pinned at the other end, but I moved it over too far. So that's, I'm trying not to make the video too long, but it's ending up being longer because I'm rushing it, so you don't have to wait. Just bear with me a minute. That's that bit. So we're still an inch. Just so that the lining fabric hangs centrally on the curtain when it's all stitched together at the top. Otherwise it'd be at the edge at one edge of the curtain, and then it'd be further to the inside on the other edge of the curtain, and you might get a bit more light through the shorter edge, if that makes sense. Probably it doesn't, but I hope it does. Right, just bear with me. Just move it along. We're nearly there. We're nearly at the edge. There we go. Move it. I'll put another pin in here. And then release this edge here. And then you'll see what happens. The curtain edge then comes out, and the lining then meets the side seam, which it does at the other side. Right, so I've pinned that there. Now, because this is an unneatened edge here on the curtain, all you need to do is to fold under, keep your length, keep your width, sorry, of your curtain, but just fold it into like a mitered corner, so that then you sew. When you sew across here, it keeps that edge pinned there, so it's like tucked in, if you like. So it keeps it there so that it doesn't fray, like so. So this bit you've turned under at an angle and tucked it in here. I'll show you that again. So, because your lining doesn't come to the edge, you've got a straight piece here of curtain fabric, which would fray unless you neatened it. So what we're going to do is just get your thumb, bend it down, tuck it under, and then flatten. Like so. You'll have to excuse my nails as well. My nails have popped off, so my false nails. Just pin that again, and then when we sew the fabric, the tape on, the tape will hold it all down. So that is now pinned in place. So what we're going to do now is we are going to get our header tape, the end of the header tape, and then you need to measure the length of the header tape is the same as the width of the length of the header tape is the same as the width of your curtain. But this end is always a bit scruffy, so I usually fold it under 1 inch. And also, if you can, do it so that the piece, let me get a pen, no, I'll use this. The piece of the header tape that is at the edge is this bit here, not the string, which is this bit, the one next to it. So this bit here, because that's where your curtain hook goes, through this bit here. You don't put it through the string, do you? Your string draws it up. It goes to the pocket next to it. So on this bit, I'm going to fold it. I'll probably do it here. So that'll take into account the raw edge, and it'll mean, if I do it like that, that I've got a hook right on the edge on this particular end of the curtain, like so. Okay, and then you pop that just a fraction down, probably, what's that, probably 1/4 inch from the top of your curtain. Take your curtain pin out and pop it through your header tape, and that will hold the header tape to the curtain, and it'll hold the lining in place as well. Now we're going to pin all the way along using the pins we've already got in here. Just keep the top edge straight, and it'll keep the rest of your tape straight. So we're going to pin across like so. Tape, tape, tape. Because you don't want it right on the very top. You want it about 1/4 inch down. So pin across, keeping it straight. Keep your thumbs. Your thumbs are wonderful tools for doing this. Keep your thumbs on the tape and keep your thumb sliding across to keep it in position. So we're just going all the way across like so. You see? So you've got 1/4 inch here. This is your curtain and your lining. Then you've got your header tape, and then you're going to sew along this header tape edge, and then we're going to sew along this header tape edge, and then that will be attached to the top of your curtain so you can hang it up. So let's carry on. So, oh, my dog's laid on it. Let's go this one, and then I can show you a finished bit. As soon as you get to the end, you see, you do the same as you did at the other end, tucking it under. You might not get this end on a hook pocket, but you may do. But at least you'll have one end on a hook pocket, and then the very next one at the other end, it'll be near to the end. But we'll see. We'll see how far we get. You could always trim a little bit off so it makes it fall in with the hook pocket. Oh, when you pin this as well, make sure that you pin it right side, because the side that you need facing you, that's going to need to be on the outside, is the bit with the loopy string. The inside is smooth. So you need it to be, so the pockets are on the outside, so you can put your curtain hooks through it. So let's carry on putting this on here. And then I'll show you what we've done. Nearly there, nearly at the end. Like so. Like so. Like so. And like so. Now don't pin the very end, because you're going to need to turn under and things. So let's see. We're nearly at the end. So we need to make sure, oh, look at that, that just drops right, that there's a pocket there. Oh, too high. Just there. So this is the edge of the curtain here. There's a pocket just there. So if I cut off a bit there, where's my scissors disappeared to? On the chair. If I cut off about 1 inch, which is what, 2.5 centimetres. So if I cut here on the tape, and then what I'm going to do is fold under this, like we did at the other end, until it's level with, and tuck it under until it's level with the very edge of the curtain. And I'm going to use the pin that I used on my mitre bit in the corner to pin it, the mitre down and the tape on in a straight line like so. And then use the other pin that's there to pin my tape. So there we have it. The tape is on. Got a little gap at the top. Your tape's sewn on. Your tape's pinned on. I'm going to sew along the top of here on the sewing machine, and then I'm going to flatten it and make sure it's flat, and then I'm going to sew along the bottom of the tape on the sewing machine, and then I'll come back to you. Then I'm going to repeat it on the other curtain. So I would sew, probably keep your presser foot on the edge of the tape and sew along here. Always sew the top first, and then you can press your fabric down, and then you can sew along the bottom, and then you're ready to hang them up. So we will see what they look like once I've sewn them and once they're up. Okay, see you in a little bit. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. I've finished the sewing, so if you can see, this is tucked in, but I haven't gone down the seam because we're down here, because we need to pull these through to gather the curtains up along the top. So you can see I've caught in the actual curtain and then the lining inside. That's the one we turned over 1 inch, if you remember. So that's facing into each other, turned down 1 inch, and then this 1 inch head of tape I've stitched along the top first, if you can see it. You can see it on there, look. And then another line at the bottom. So it's stitched here and stitched there, all the way across. And that's it. Now they just need hanging. So that was an easy peasy fix if you've got curtains that are a bit too long. And it's exactly the same principle if you're using 3 inch head of tape. It just means obviously that it'll be down here rather than up here, the bottom of it. So you'll stitch it along the top exactly the same, and then it'll be down here and you stitch along the bottom the same. But it's the same principle, and there's usually 3 or 4 rows of these that you pull up. But other than that, the principle's exactly the same. So when I've hung these up, I shall let you see what they look like. Okay. Hi guys, these are the curtains hung that we altered last night. There we go. Just for a second, I'll just open them. These rails are a bit, I need to get another foil as well for that. So there we go. They're better, much better. So that was well worth it.